G'day guys, it's Wayne from Living with Bikes. I'm out on a nice Sunday morning, having a bit of a ride. We've already covered about, probably done about 50 or 60 k's. We're now in the Victorian High Country. We're just motoring to a road. We've come up one dirt road for about 50 k's. Now we're just sort of highway blasting it down to the next turn off, which will get back on the dirt again. GPS, you can see it down there hopefully. Got a little bit to go. We're just cruising through. So let's talk about the Triumph today. I've now got, as you can see hopefully, the GPS is hooked up. I'm actually still in off-road mode, not in off-road pro, I'm just in off-road. I've got the suspension set to sports there, or normal, the top of the normal setting. I don't have ABS at the moment on the rear. I'm not sure if what have I set here? I do. I've got ABS on the front at the moment. Put that back into sports mode for a minute, and I have traction control set on the bike, which I can, when I'm in off-road, I can change that at any time. Now you hear people talking about the Triumph Tiger Explorer, this one, and they say that you can't change from a road mode to a off-road mode while you're moving, and that's true. But what you can do is put it in off-road mode, and you can pretty much load the bike back up with all the safety stuff. So I've got ABS, traction control on, and all that sort of stuff. The lean angle stuff will work. So you can sort of go to the advanced dirt setting, and then come back from that and add everything back on it. And then as soon as you hit the dirt up here down the road, I can go back in and just take what I want out and leave what I want on. So I'll take the traction control off. I will leave the ABS on the front, but it will dampen it down, so it'll give me a bit of slip, but not all the way. It won't lock the front, it'll let me keep going. But I can lock the rear, which means I can get the back out if I need to. All sounds very professional, but it's just allowing you to do little bits and pieces that you need to do to keep the bike where you want it to go. So anyway, and then you can of course turn it all off. But if you've got it and it's not intrusive to you, I don't know why you would do that. Maybe if you get on the sand or something. But anyway, whatever. So Triumph Rally Explore, which is what I've chosen to buy, and the reasons why I've chosen it. Now, I make no bones, just like most people. The bike that this went up against was the BMW GS 1250. That was the bike, that's the benchmark for this style of bike, which is the ADV. And when I decided to get a new one, I went and had a look at, I looked at everything that was available at the time. I've only had this, for a couple of months now. The 1300 I knew about, it was coming out, the 1300 BMW. And before we sort of kick it off, don't be under the illusion that because I've bought the Triumph that everything else is crap, because I don't think that. I actually drive a BMW car and I love it. It's a great machine. But when it comes to motorbikes, it is and always will be what will suit you the best. And then it comes down to what functions that motorbike has that makes it what you think is the best motorbike. So for me, some of the things that this motorcycle had over other ones, mainly the BMW, it looks like we're turning, and they're the things that I'll go through. Looks like John's There we go. Right. So I think John wants to set up one of his cameras. And I'll have to change out of his... Yep, so John wants to set up a camera. And I will put my bike in the mode that I want. Here's one of the features I love. I'm on a bit of a hill here. And I've just selected a hill hold. So I pull the front brake in. It puts a little... There it is. No, it's traction one. There's the hill hold here. The green one. I put that up on my dash. I'll pull this up. Puts that on my dash. Front wheel's locked up. Holds it for me as long as I want. Actually, if I turn the bike off, it lets it go, but then it's electrically operated, so that makes sense. Alright, so the reasons for my purchase of the Triumph over the BMW. Now, number one, I went to the BMW dealer, my local dealer. I said to them, hi, I'm looking at, buying an ADV, a brand new one. What has BMW got in the offer? And he looked at me and said, the dealer it wasn't the dealer principal, it was just the dealer. Looked at me and said, you've got the 1250 triple black there. I said, okay, what about the 1300? And he said to me, 1300, we're only getting those in for orders. And I said, so you're not going to have one that I can test ride? I said, no, order only. Okay. So I said to him, so how do I get my, how do I get myself onto one? And I'll just change a few modes then. Can you hear that rev up? So I've got I'm just making sure traction control is off. Alright, I'll be with you in a sec. I'll just make sure I've got everything set up again. We'll go back into off-road, traction control setting, and sports. I'll leave it in normal. Okay, and we're good. Alright, here we go. Alright, and that's what it'll let you do. So, as I said, I went into my BMW dealer. He said, no, you can only get one you can order it and we'll bring it out and tell you when it's ready. I said to him, okay, is there anywhere else I can go to get a ride on one and then come back to you and say to you, yep, I'm happy with that? I said, no, BMW aren't doing that. Really? So I walked out of the shop, totally confused, a bit upset to be honest, and I thought, right, well, if they don't want to sell me a BMW, we'll look at something else. So I went down to my local Peter Stevens shop. They do Triumph, one of their bikes they do, and said to the, walked in, same sort of deal. Walked in, said to the young fella there, I've been down to BMW. They didn't really want to know. Said, so I'm coming here to have a look at the Triumph. And he said, well, lucky us. He said, because it's a better bike. And I went, okay, well, that's what we're going to find out. So at that point, he just went over a few things, give me a few prices and stuff like that. One of the big differences on the Triumph compared to the BMW is that this bike is fully loaded. So when you drive it out of the showroom, it's pretty much got everything on it that you will need. And I'll tell you the things that I have bought extra, but pretty much you could drive it out of the showroom and just go on a big trip. You don't really have to do anything to it. Unlike the BMW, which you have to select what options you want to basically build the bike of your dreams type thing, and it's not cheap. So anyway, moving along, I end up purchasing this bike after I did a whole day on a bike they had in the showroom. It had done 3,000 Ks, and I said to them, look, you know, I don't want to be awkward, but if you want me to spend, you know, the sort of money that you want for these bikes, I'm going to want to ride one for more than 20 minutes on a test ride with a guy following me. They said, no, fair enough. I said, you can have that bike there for the day. We shut it, it was a Saturday, so I said we shut it, you know, 2 o'clock. So as long as you're back before then. So I got there Sparrows first thing, got on it. It was a shitty day, it was raining and stuff like that, off and on. We took it up the bush and I leant on it and, you know, had a really good go with it. And I thought to myself, this is, you know, this is for me. I really like this bike. So I went back, did more investigation on them, found out all the different, you know, things about them. Just so you know, I'm doing 39 Ks, I'm in 4th gear. I'm just pulling the throttle on a bit now. Alright, I'm still in 4th gear, 40 Ks. Look at that. That's the triple for you. Absolutely magnificent. Yeah, so I started watching all these YouTube shows, and all these GS BMW guys were testing them, saying, oh yeah, they're really nice, and this is, you know, some of the things I was pointing out was the quick shifter's really nice on it. The mirrors were good. They said, but when you get up to highway speeds, they vibrate and you can't see out of them. They kept saying that it's top heavy, like it's really heavy up top, and it's really hard, you know, to push it around. I went, right, okay, so this is all before that I did my test ride. So I had all that stuff in my head, armed and ready to go, yeah, that's right, tick that box, yeah, it's heavy, tick that box, yeah, it doesn't handle well here. Suspension, they all said the suspension was really nice, and it is, it's awesome. So I had all these things in my head that I wanted to, you know, have a look at, and one by one I found out that they weren't like that at all. This bike's got half a tank just about exactly right now, and it flicks really, really easy. Look, I'm not even using the handlebar, holding the handlebars. They're superb. Triumph have just done their work on this, right? And the guys that are testing them know that. There is a few out there, a few YouTube ones out there that just say, you know, it's the best thing they've ever ridden as far as this type of bike goes. And keep it in the back of my mind when I was looking that Triumph, when you're the best, it's very, very hard to maintain it. That's why race cars, you often see, you know, they're the best for a couple of years, and then they get taken by another company, you know, another race team beats them and all that sort of stuff. That's the same with manufacturing. If you're the best, eventually you sort of, I don't know, lay on your laurels a little bit, because you know how good you are. And BMW, I reckon, did that, and they found out that, like, Triumph, the whole time, were slowly catching them. So, and this isn't a very smooth track, just quietly. It's fine, but it's just not that smooth. Not as smooth as the one we had before. So, yeah. So I eventually did the test ride, did all my checkings and all this sort of stuff, and then found out when the 1300 came out that it started having, of the BMW, it started having all these problems. The gearbox was whiny, not on every bike of course, but the gearbox was whiny. They've had a massive problem with the first lot of bikes that come out, where the starter motor, I think, something plastic in the starter motor caught on fire, electronic part. So they recalled a load of bikes. It's the first series of a new style. It's a smaller bike than it was before, so it's smaller than the 1250 in physical size. The dash is pretty much the same. The thing that I don't like is that you've got to keep coming out you've got to scroll through and select everything when you want to do something. So on the Triumph, if I want heated grips, I just simply push the button just down here, the heated grips come on. They're all looking good. We'll give it a little squirt up here. Nice. There's like a bit over quarter throttle, thing just lights up. I love it. Yeah, so simple things like that. If I want to turn the fog lights on or the spotlights, it's one button up here. The one next to it is the heated seats. Everything's just at hand. And it's not until you have to go into something, as in at the moment I've got the suspension. I might just come down a little bit. I just took off a little bit of suspension then, made it a bit softer, because I'm going over some, looks like chopped up bricks and shit. It's a bit rough. So I just found that the system is a lot easier to use than the BM one, where you've got to keep scrolling and you can only, I know you can select 2 different things on the BM, and that gives you a quick access to those, but that's not really, I don't reckon that's really good enough. Not having the backlit buttons, that was a big one for me. I thought, well, hang on, you know, at night when you're banging along and you just sort of need them, you know. So anyway, there was things like that. What am I doing? 4th gear, 42 k's. Motor's just ticking over. I'm doing 2,000 revs. Winder on. That's what I love about it. That was one of the other things. Talking about the engine. I'll come down a second then. Talking about the engine. With the Triumph, when you get on it, oh, that was slippery. When you go, we'll do it in a sec, we'll just give it a little bit of a, here we go. Hear that noise, that, you know, that whole growly thing? It's just, it just puts a smile on your face every time. And I've noticed that when a lot of guys are testing them, you know, they keep revving them all the time because of that noise they make. They just make the most unbelievable sound. And I find that you hear them rev out the BM, whether it's the 1250 or the 13, it doesn't matter. They've got sort of a flat, audible sound, but it's not, doesn't make you sort of go, yeah, you know what I mean, like these things. So that's a big part of it, because when you're on a bike, although it's got to do everything well for you, if it doesn't make you feel great, I mean, I think you're missing a major part of it. Like this thing, when you get on it, come out of a corner, and there's another bike beside you or whatever, and you think, right, I'm going to open up here. The sound that comes out of it, it just, oh, it's just incredible. Anyway, that's just one of the things. So we've covered the backlit stuff. This road's getting shocking. The quick shifter, it seems to be one of the, and I never realised until I started examining the 2 bikes, I never realised that the quick shifter on the BMs was such a average thing. I always, you know, just assumed that they would be awesome. And they all talk about the clunkiness. Sometimes they'll miss, you know, shift and stuff like that. And the Triumph is just, it's like John jumped on today for half an hour and he said, my God, the quick shifter on this bike is so smooth, it's like butter. It just, you know, pops in, and the revs are all matched right. When you click it down, she'll give a little blip for you, so it's got blippers on it. This road's crap. And you just enjoy it. It's just got everything there. One of the other things that I've really liked, which we which we found out this morning, was when you're on cruise control, which is very easy, you just push the buttons, it locks you in on cruise. And I'll examine cruise a bit more in a second too. When you're on cruise control with the throttle here, you just roll it forward a little bit more than the off position, and it switches the cruise off. Now that you might go, oh well, yeah, big deal, and it will do it with the brake, and it will do it with the back brake. It will do it if you, I'm just trying to think, if you change gears, it'll knock it off for you. So there's a few different ways that you can turn it off. So getting to cruise control, what this bike doesn't have over the top of the BMW, and I'm pretty sure you have to spec yourself up on the BMW to get it, is the radar cruise control. Now, I don't know on the BMW, I don't think that you can have just a standard cruise control. Well, you might be able to just turn the radar off, I'm not sure. But this radar cruise control, now I don't know if many people have, you know, had cars, got cars, a lot of them have now, that have cruise control, but my car at home doesn't. But when I've been away, I've hired cars that do. And twice, while I've had them, the brakes have jammed on, like pulled the car up really quickly. And it's because the radars looked at something, sensed it. One of them was I was following a big motorhome thing, and we were going down a road that was obviously locked onto it, and I was just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden the brakes come on really hard. The motorhome had just pulled off the side of the road like they do, and the car still was looking at it, and it jammed the brakes on. It absolutely frightened me, you know, what's out of me. So anyway, where's Johnny Boy gone? There he is. So when they said they were going to do radar cruise control on the new BMW, I thought to myself, well, I wouldn't want that anyway. And the reason being, I'll stand up. The reason being is because of that. And I'm sure the radar system on the bike works the same way, where it just sees the object and then bounces back, and then keeps that in the mirror, keeps that in the focus. So while this has got cruise control, it's not radar cruise control. What this does have is the blind spot with the mirrors here. They work fantastic. I still, because I'm old school, I still, you know, turn my head, but they're that good you really wouldn't have to. But as I said, always turn, have a look first. But you know, you can't 100% trust electronics. One of the other things that I noticed, unless you buy the spec'd up model, the BMW windscreen, it's quite small on the standard sort of models until you get the electronic one, which sort of goes out and lifts up, and that'd be really, there's nothing wrong with that, it'd be really good, you know, like you could say, oh, when you're out in the dirt it'll get clogged up. No, I don't reckon. It'll work fine all the time. But what you can't do is, if you want to operate it quickly, unless you've got one of your pre channels, the 2 channels they give you, unless you've got one of those assigned to it, you can't operate it unless you go into the menu and actually click it to make it move. That to me is useless, in as much that, so if you've got a heated seat, you've got heated grips, you've got a heated mirror, windscreen that moves, well, one of those you can't operate just on a switch. You've got to scroll through and find it. So, I mean, on the Triumph here, it's just a matter of pulling it down, pulling it up. Very easy. What's Johnny doing? So, my 1400 Kawasaki at home, it has a electric windscreen, and I do admit I use it all the time, but it's just simply on a rocker switch. So it's very easy to operate. I think John was just getting a camera shot of the valley there, which is very nice. beautiful spot of the bush. So there's some of the reasons why I didn't go for the BM. And the other thing I must say is that I love the suspension on this bike, the way that I can move it around, change it on the fly. Like right now, I just flick this toggle to make the bike harder, softer, anytime I want. What's one of the other things? The BMW has got a thing where, and I think again, you've got to spec it up, where the bike wheel, once it slows down below a certain speed, comes to a stop at an intersection, it'll squat itself. And what I reckon is that every time it does that, you're using up that suspension. So you're working that part all the time. Now the Triumph realised that BMW were going to do that, or had done it. So what they done was just program this button over here, the home button, or the house button. So as long as I'm below 82 kilometres an hour, I can hit that button and hold it, and it will squat this bike. And it will stay squatted if I want it to until 82 k's an hour, and then it'll raise itself back up again. The only thing different is that you come to the next intersection and it won't squat itself again if you go over 82 k's until you tell it to. But for me, you know, I can touch my feet down when I pull up now normally, so for me it's not something that I really think is a big thing. Probably if you're a shorter guy, it's probably something that you think, oh yeah, that's a great feature. But then you can do it on this. You just got to think about it, because you have to do it manually to get it to go down. It's pretty simple, just push a button. So that's my thoughts on that one. As far as the wheels and tyres, well, tyres are all subjective. Most people will change their tyres once they've got the bike. The ones on this one, you know, are okay. I'm on dirt now, they're okay, but they're not what I'm going to leave on it. I'm going to change the tyres later on, but I'll wait until these wear down a bit and flick them out. You just got to ride to the tyre. Don't be an idiot, you know. But at the moment they're fine. I think I'm running about 40 pounds, so I'm running highway sort of pressures on them, and they're fine. They're okay. They got bit of a pothole, so they've got half decent tread on them for dirt roads. You wouldn't want to go up on sand with them, probably dig yourself a hole. So the big thing about this one though is that the BMW went for the 19-inch front wheel, and even John said to me today when he had his ride this morning on it, he said that front wheel, even on the road, it works really, really well. As the bike, you know, you go into a corner, the bike tips in, and I don't believe it's the weight pulling the bike over, it's just the way the bike's been engineered. It actually steers nicely. The brakes on this bike, just like the BMWs, even though BMW have got BMW written on them, they're still the Brembos, and very good ones. So just that Triumph have left the Brembo badging, BMW have covered it up, and I actually like this, to see the Brembo badging. I think it gives it that sort of sporty little bit of that sporty look, which I reckon is really cool. But the BMW brakes are very similar. I haven't pulled on them, so I don't know what they're like, but I'm sure they're really good. So that, in that part of it, the bikes will be very similar. The BMW's got that new system where they've got like an extra spring, and I'm sure it's really good. But it's just another thing that they've come up with, you know. So yeah, as I said, it'll be really good. But this bike doesn't have it. It has its conventional adjustments, and as I said, I can put it up and down manually, but when I'm selecting what I want to do, the suspension on this is fantastic. Whether you're standing, sitting, like I'm sitting now talking to you guys, swapping lanes, there's a crusty bit in the middle, it's all good. Bike doesn't jump around. John's probably in front of me sweating conkers, but he'll be right. The reason why we do this is to give him the experience that he wants to get, which is really good. I mean, you got these big heavy enduro bikes or adventure bikes, and don't shy away from this sort of country. That's what they're there for. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it, and then eventually you go on a trip and everyone's asking you to take their bike through a little mud hole or up a hill, and you just ride straight up. That's what adventure bike's about. It's about just learning the skills on your bike. So anyway, I think I've blabbed on enough about why I got this. Just so you know, the GPS, so the extras on this bike are the GPS. I've got these mesh seats that I just bought them off Amazon, and they're really good. They're supposed to give you a bit more extra time, and they let them breathe through the seat, so they're really cool. Got them front and back. What else have I put on it? I put the top box on it. Oh, this looks a bit shitty up here. Yeah, I thought so. That was just crap going from one side to the other. You probably don't pick it up. I'll put the top box on it. This bike come with panniers as part of its deal. How's that for a wheel spin? They still pick up though. Yeah, come with the top. I put a top box on it, and I've put these sort of stickers. I don't know if you'll notice them, but they're down here. Tank stickers, little side stickers, just where I'm going to rub on it, so that so basically I don't wear the paint, whatever. Especially when you're out here in the dusty bits, you know, and you're rubbing dust on them, all over them. I think that's about all. There's not a lot that you need to put on them. Yeah, that's about all. As I said, just the GPS, the holder that goes behind it, a few stickers, the phone holders, which are nothing. But that's the beauty of this bike. It comes with all its bars, and I found out since it's a bit of a dir, but you know, I didn't think about it until I got this bike. It gives you heaps of places to bolt your camera gear on, which is really cool. Oh, the other thing I put on it was the headlight protector, because I thought that's probably a wise thing to do. I reckon if you take the front headlight out on these with a rock from your mate, they're fairly expensive to replace. So, but overall, if you're thinking of a new adventure bike, and you are, I would say you're at least 6 foot, you're 6 foot tall and above, the Triumph, you will have absolutely no worries. One of the things the BMW won't do that this will is that you can lower the suspension on this, like I said, but you can also take the seat out and lower the seat. You don't have to go and buy another one. It's got adjustments on it. You just take the seat off, lower it by another 20 mil, put the seat back on. So that in itself, I think, is really good. There's a lot of places you have to buy, like BMW, you have to buy a lowered seat. I think they call it the cushion seat or the comfort seat or something. But anyway, it's just another small thing, and they all add up when you spending the money on these expensive motorcycles. Now I'm hope John come down here. We'll find out, won't we? I can't see any dust. Oh yeah, there it is, bit of dust. Yeah, so overall I'm super happy. It's not like I'm just testing it for a month. I actually own the bike, I look after it, I wash it, I pamper it, every time I use it. And I have absolutely no regrets. Actually, I'm over the moon with how great this machine is. What's John up to? So, alright, well I'll leave you at the moment with this. Certainly not going to talk anymore. And everyone take care, and we'll see you on the next ride. Bye.